Hello and welcome to ETAuto. Usually on this channel you see conversations around automobiles and the technologies they come up with for the end consumer. But today we are talking something behind that. We are talking about the process that put the automobiles together. In other words, manufacturing. To have this discussion, we have with us Mr. Matthew Fordenwalt, who is the Senior VP, Lifecycle Services at Rockwell Automation. Matt, thanks for spending your time and having this conversation with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Matt, in the automotive or mobility world, one of the biggest trends is connected vehicles, the connected vehicle trends. But something similar is also happening in the factories, right? Machines are getting connected, digitized more and more, thanks to this Industry 4.0 trend as well. So tell us, in terms of in that direction, what are the new trends? Where is it heading? How are factories getting more and more smarter? And where do you see it going in the next phase?
So the automotive manufacturing process has been around for nearly 100 years. And with the evolution towards electric vehicles, we're seeing more and more digital trends in engineering. Think of a digital thread, think of a digital twin. They are really starting early on with the concept of a car, being able to digitize every aspect of it, how it's going to be put together, simulating the entire manufacturing process. So they're integrating machines from various OEMs across the world, from paint to the body shop to from engine to battery manufacturing, and simulating all of how that's going to come together seamlessly, and using more advanced technologies as well in terms of autonomous mobile robots to seamlessly move materials from the front of the line to each stage of the assembly process. We see SaaS type software coming into apply, which means a simplification of the engineering effort. Right. Allowing humans to really model out that entire manufacturing process from start to finish, to simplify and streamline and improve their quality.
Right. You mentioned the word simplify, and in this another megatrend, the electric vehicle megatrend, it's making the vehicle less complex, though more technology intensive. Mm-hmm. So which means on the manufacturing side, one can say it's a more simplified process. And there is also, organizations are also increasingly looking at having lesser carbon footprint, more sustainable practices. Towards that, do you see the factory of the future, especially in the automotive world, becoming maybe more compact, more simplified as well?
Well, I think in automobile manufacturing, I think scale always plays a role. So I think the compact nature, the footprint may change a little bit, but the economies of scale that you need to be a productive auto plant doesn't change. Mm-hmm. The number of units that you produce per se is required for the economics to make money. That said, we're seeing the footprint change within an EV plant for sure. Sure, you don't have that internal combustible engine any further, right. But what you do have is an entire battery assembly. The battery load process. So things like our independent cart technology, which allows them to move these materials around in an integrated fashion to streamline that, changes the footprint of the manufacturing and can actually reduce the total footprint in that area, but that will be replaced with a desire for more volume, right? So it's a, I wouldn't say a zero-sum game, but there is a balancing act to the economics.
Right. And as the world increasingly looks at sustainable journey and towards that, all levers, whatever available, has to be pulled. From the manufacturing perspective, what are the new trends? What are the technology interventions you see are already taking place, which will really enhance the, how do I say, green quotient, or maybe help organizations become more sustainable with, obviously, the lesser carbon footprint and move towards the goal of carbon neutrality, which many of the organizations have announced their target years?
There's many announcements out there in terms of Scope 1, Scope 2, right. Scope 3. Right. and the desire for carbon neutrality. What we're seeing across the automotive manufacturing process is it starts early on in terms of the concept of the car, the concept of circularity and being able to think about recycling various parts of that car before it's even conceptually put together. So the bill of material and understanding every single component about it, the traceability, again, it gets back to this digital twin concept. And not thinking about a product as it comes off that manufacturing line, but also what are we going to do about all the component parts as that car comes back in once it's consumed or used? What are you going to do with that battery pack that you just assembled and put into that car? The electronics throughout that car, the wiring. So we are seeing people think more about that early on, as well as the entire manufacturing process itself. So as we think about that manufacturing process, the energy that's being consumed, we've developed some technologies like our energy manager platform, which really allows a manufacturer to understand every manufacturing component, how much energy is that consuming to actually produce that. So you can understand the carbon footprint of what it takes to produce a unit.
Okay, so can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Because that's quite interesting, because it's what you are saying, that if I look at one part of the entire process, I can calculate, I can plan the carbon footprint?
Yeah.
I can get full information on that?
Sustainability is data-driven. And what we're able to do with our technologies, especially with Energy Manager as an application, is you're able to understand every part of that manufacturing process and the energy that's being consumed in each of those assembly routings.
I see.
So you're really being able to drive down how much energy is consumed there, how do you optimize that, and then with simulation type software, be able to simulate and understand what it's going to look like in the future.
Okay, interesting. So all these are about digitizing, more digital technologies, right?
Yeah, the digital transformation is really about data.
Data.
And there's two ways to think about it. The simulation before you actually physically do something, so you can really truly understand what's going to happen, so you optimize before you actually take action. So there's less trial and error per se in the real physical world that allows you to get a better vertical startup of a new product.
Yeah. That reminds me, Matt, we have been hearing about digital twin for quite some time. There's also a relatively new phrase, at least for me, it's the virtual twin, the digital twin and virtual twin. So do you see more adoption of virtual twin technologies and to kind of make the entire value chain or maybe the entire manufacturing process more efficient, less carbon footprint?
So yeah, we use the term more of a digital thread, the interconnectivity between that car concept, maybe a partner who has used some type of PLM package to design the vehicle, from their ECAD files. So how you take that into the manufacturing process and how you connect that data, really focus on the manufacturing area, the movement of materials, how you're going to simulate how all that comes together, how you're going to time the routings for how much time it should take for each of those stages for that automobile to be assembled. And then how you optimize that, infusing that energy manager information into it. So you're really getting that three-dimensional model of the entire digital thread as it goes through that process, because it is an end-to-end value chain.
Yeah, and then you kind of take calls on where you can optimize the say certain parts of the whole exercise, and to have a lesser carbon footprint and more efficient maybe.
Exactly. We tend to think about our manufacturing execution software, our MES, at the top level, which really is fully integrated into that plant floor, into the control in the plant floor. It is orchestrating where material is going to be. We're using independent cart technology to move the materials around. So you're able to start to simulate all that movement and optimize both your workforce and the flow of materials through your facility.
And of course, any discussion around be it connected vehicles or connected or smart factories, digitization, there is always a dimension of cybersecurity, the threat, potential threat. So as factories, manufacturing plants are also becoming increasingly more digitized, I'm sure you are also kind of stepping up the the armor, so to speak, for them. So could you throw some light on what kind of technology interventions are happening? What are the new trends towards that?
I think with any movement towards connectivity and digitization really require a much more stronger cyber perspective. So at Rockwell Automation, one of our fastest growing service lines is our cybersecurity capabilities.
Okay.
Today, we partner with traditional IT cyber software. We don't make specific cyber software. We have domain expertise of how to apply that in that operations technology environment. So we are really consultants that are able to work with automobile manufacturers, tier 1 suppliers of how to deploy those technologies to best protect their assets in the manufacturing arena. We also recently made an acquisition of Verve, and Verve Industrial allows us to have a platform that plugs in a lot of other software into it that really helps a manufacturer understand their risk profile and the specific actions that they should do to reduce risk in a managed, pragmatic way. So what we are really evolving to be is agnostic of whether it's Rockwell Automation controls, how do you better protect the entire operations technology environment? And we're providing services over the top of that to best integrate it, and now we have a platform that allows those off-the-shelf IT type cyber tools to plug in so you have more usability in that OT environment.
Right. And Matt, we are having this interesting conversation. You're sitting here in Chennai, which was till recently, not so frequently now, but till recently also referred to as the Detroit of Asia because of the huge automotive ecosystem which is built here. And India, how do you see India in your overall scheme of things for Rockwell Automation, both as the market for the customers that you serve here, as well as technology development base, because India is, because of its IT legacy, the software competence. So you can throw some light on how do you tap India, how do you plan to tap India further?
First off, Rockwell Automation is celebrating 40 years in India this year.
Congratulations.
So we have a history of being invested in the country. Personally, I have an organization globally that's over 7,000 people. I have nearly 3,000 people in India. Part of that is through hiring over the last several years, given the wealth of engineering talent and software talent that's here in India. And more specifically, we have campuses across multiple major cities, including one here in Chennai.
Oh, I see.
That is our auto entire center of excellence for manufacturing execution type software for the automotive industry. So we do have a lot of expertise, be it industry, domain expertise, software talent. Our recent acquisition of Knowledge Lens in Bangalore allows us to, I think, really develop a more indigenous footprint here in India that's actually serving both this market and the rest of the world.
The team in Chennai, is it also a global COE for any particular? It is?
It is.
Oh.
They're working on projects in my organization for automotive companies across the globe.
Oh, that's good to know. That's good. And generally, India as a base, India in your overall, say, a global list of subsidiaries, how important is it from a global perspective for Rockwell Automation, and where does it stand, if you can, in terms of ranking?
Well, I would say, listen, Rockwell Automation is a large multinational company with a presence in nearly 100 countries. India is, in terms of employee population, is one of the highest. I would put it in the top 3, and probably the one that's growing the fastest. So in terms of our global ability to deliver and serve our customers across the globe, India is quite critical in that. Again, it's the wealth of talent. We see across the hardware, software, and services domains, a great wealth of talent here.
Right. And also, going forward, do you see any, well, as you talked about tier 1s, even tier 2s are trying to adopt the digital technologies to enhance their efficiency and move forward. But because it's a huge trend, what is the advice that you would give to, let's say, even tier 1 suppliers who are trying to make this transition to a digital world?
Yeah, I think that for any supplier to the automotive industry, there's going to be a lot of pressure to continuously digitize and transform their operating processes. We've recognized that, One of the things that we've also known is for a smaller supplier here, more cloud-based technologies are going to become more important for them. One, because of the physical infrastructure, as well as maybe the heaviness of on-premise type software may not fit their needs. So we made the acquisition of Plex. And Plex is an MES and ERP that's really geared towards those tier 2 type suppliers in automotive, discrete type part manufacturing, that allows them a flexible platform at a cost price equation that allows them to adopt their manufacturing processes and make them much more digital than ever before.
I see. And lastly, for Rockwell Automation, it's a sector agnostic business, offer technology for manufacturing. But generally, in the automotive industry, if I were to ask you, in terms of the manufacturing capabilities, and Asia is seen as a huge, is a very significant hub for all players. So how do you see this part of the world progressing in terms of manufacturing competence, and are there any best practices that you see in this part of the world that are being already deployed or perhaps deserve to be deployed elsewhere in more mature markets like North America and Europe?
I believe that, first off, I think Asia today, in general, across all manufacturing, actually does the majority of the manufacturing for the world in terms of total percentage. And that's expected to actually increase over the next decade. Specifically in India, I think the opportunity is great as manufacturing becomes a bigger focus of the entire economy. Based upon best practices that we see, we're seeing good digital adoption of people thinking about the manufacturing process. I also see more and more emphasis on circularity and thinking about the recycling of the components. I think that each region of the world has different market forces as acting on it. So I think there's strengths across each of those. I think that what will happen in Asia is they will adopt some Western concepts and ideas. But I also think in terms of scaling the manufacturing footprint here, I think because there isn't as much maybe historical or older infrastructure, they're going to be able to start earlier on the adoption of digital technologies, which will be really exciting in terms of the rapid expansion of manufacturing in economies such as India.
Before we end this conversation, Matt, how often do you come to India? And is there anything particular you enjoy in India that you really look forward to every time you come here?
I run a global organization. I try to make, you can say any quarter during the calendar year, I'm in some part of the globe. In terms of India specifically, it's the people. And I get to see from the north to the south, visiting various cities, just experiencing the culture, sitting with people in my organization, personally getting to know them, and share what I'm seeing around the world, what they're seeing locally. I just find that is quite humbling as well as grounding in terms of what we're trying to do to transform manufacturing.
Great. On that note, Matt, thanks for having this very lovely conversation, and have a nice stay in India before you head back to the US. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
There you heard Matthew Fordenwalt, a Senior VP Lifecycle Services, Rockwell Automation, talking about the whole new manufacturing practices, the digitization, and of course the role of India in the overall scheme of things for Rockwell Automation. On that note, thanks for watching this interview. Take care and goodbye.